a story to tell you about my life, and it is called The Permanent Halloween. As I was growing up, Halloween was always my favorite holiday. And I think a big reason for that was my Aunt Linda, who always made my brother and my sister and I just the best costumes. We'd get a phone call every year that said, what do you want to be this year? We'd tell her and she would start working. This phone call came in April, and she would spend 6 months straight researching, designing, sewing, stuffing, and making costumes that were probably better than the ones at Disneyland, like whether we were Smurfs or Roger Rabbit or the cast of Sesame Street. And she knew that we were only going to wear it for one night, but she wanted to make something that would last, both in memories and in the costume itself. And I always loved getting that phone call until one year, my brother got the phone call, my sister got the phone call, and I didn't. And that's when my mom broke the news to me that you can't trick or treat forever. And I was in middle school, and I should quit being a nerd. But I'm like, but Dad, no. But I want to go trick or treating. And so I decided I was going to make my own costume, and I was going to make something that would last. And it lasted so well that I'm still wearing it. Because that was the night I set myself on fire. I had a lot of catching up to do if I wanted a costume as good as Aunt Linda would make. And she had a head start because she started in April, and I was starting on October 31st at 4 p.m. So I knew I couldn't beat her in craftsmanship, but what I could do is make something that my Aunt Linda would never make, because she was notoriously G-rated, and I'm like, I'm going to make something scary, because I'm a grown-up now. And I decided I was going to be an accident victim. I was. So I went all out, I got an old pair of pants, and I took an old garden rake, and I scraped it up so it would look like I had been attacked by wild dogs. I got an old tire and dipped it in black paint and ran it over my shirt so it looked like I'd been run over by a car. And I wanted to look like I'd been every accident possible. I made bullet holes and blood. And I remember hearing about the Halloween movie and how they just took an old William Shatner mask and spray painted it to make it look super scary. So I got the only rubber mask we had, and I attacked it with a spray paint so it looked like there was a head wound, except it was the only one we had was a Captain Planet mask, so it just looked like Captain Planet got red paint on him. And I did all these things, and I'm like, there has to be one more accident that I can fill this, that I can do to complete this. And then I realized, fire. And so I went down to the basement. I found an old shirt of my grandfather's, and I got a lighter and I got a cup of water. And now I'm not stupid. So I knew I couldn't do it in the garage because that's not safe. So I went outside where it was cold. So I put on the jacket. But it's okay, guys, because I didn't put my arm all the way in, all right? It was like that. So the plan was, you light the shirt, you let it singe a little bit, you hold a match, and then you pour the water. What I didn't think about was the fact that my grandfather had died 15 years before this, and this shirt had probably been in a dry basement for 20 years and was flannel. So the second I put the lighter, the entire shirt just erupted like I was a stuntman at an amusement park stunt show. And I just went, huh. And I took the glass of water, and I did my move, and I was still on fire. So I thought about it for a minute. I thought about what I could possibly do. And the move I came up with was, which, even if there were not flames involved, I think you could call fanning the flames. And I did that for a while, and I'm like, I think we talked about this in school one time. There was a song, but I couldn't remember it. And I remembered stop, drop, and roll. So I stopped, I dropped, and I rolled one time. I stood up and I go, well shit, that didn't work. If you were supposed to repeat, they would have put it in the thing, like shampoo. So I'm like, well, what do I do now? And I don't know how long I did it, because, you know, it's hard to judge time when you're on fire. But it just went along until my poor mother walks out of the kitchen, happens to look outside the window and see a lovely day. And then all of a sudden just sees, as her son goes flying by in a 4-foot streak of fire, following him, she runs outside, she grabs the shirt, and as soon as she pulls, it evaporates, flies into the air and just poofs into dust like a witch disappearing, like it was never there. And I just collapsed, stopping and dropping as I should have done long before. Later on, she has me go into the bathroom, she's putting cold water on it, and I distinctly remember looking at my arm and thinking, from here to here, huh, so that's why Freddy Krueger's face looked like that, because of the fire. I get these references now because I'm a grown-up. The other thing that happened is that all of the hair on this side of my head had melted together into one triangular hair that had to be like just cut off, and you could like a little dinner plate, and they just threw it away. And so we rushed to the emergency room, they wrap me up, they bandage me, they get me on all kinds of drugs, and I'm like, we gotta get back, it's almost time for trick-or-treating. And my mom's like, are you joking right now? Like you're drugged up, you're wrapped in bandages, you're sitting like with crutches, and I'm like, what did I tell you this morning? I want to be an accident victim. I think I did pretty good. I made it to one house. I think it was a combination of all the drugs they had me on, and also the fact that I had spray painted a rubber Captain Planet mask red 2 hours before this. The paint was still wet, so I created this perfect vacuum seal where paint fumes could go up in the little nose and just get captured in a bubble full of paint fumes. And I walked to my neighbor's house and said, trick or... And then I woke up 28 hours later, and I never trick-or-treated again.